Hello everyone. It's great to be here in Greece, in your beautiful country. I'm very excited to be here at your conference. So my name is Emma Craig and I'm a PhD student under the supervision of Dr Katerina Dounavi at Queen's University in Belfast. I'm in my final year and what I'm going to talk to you about today is the research that we have been doing as part of my PhD. So first of all, I'll just talk you through as to why this research is important, what telehealth is, the current knowledge surrounding telehealth and behaviour analysis, the research questions of this project, the method that was employed, our findings, and future directions. So why is this research important? Recent estimates have now suggested that 1 in every 59 newborns in the USA have a diagnosis of ASD. Figures actually suggest that 700,000 individuals in the UK have a diagnosis of ASD. And currently there is only 375 Board Certified Behaviour Analysts or Board Certified Assistant Behaviour Analysts in the UK. So this actually translates as a ratio of just 1 BCBA or BCABA to 186 individuals with ASD. So telehealth it's the use of communication technology such as video conferencing software. We use our internet, Bluetooth headphones, all sorts of technology, smartphones, laptops, to connect somebody with a consultant or professional online. It has now been used effectively across a number of conditions, and some of these conditions include diabetes, heart disease, and depression. It has now been recognised as a potential next step in healthcare and government initiatives across the UK. And by investigating alternative delivery methods such as telehealth, researchers or clinicians can disseminate best practices to support as many individuals as possible. So we're not saying that telehealth is going to miraculously fix the problem of there being a lack of professionals. We know that that is already an issue. We're saying that it's going to create more time for professionals. So typically what happens in Belfast is because of the lack of professionals, a behaviour analyst may spend 4 hours of their day travelling in their car to client. If we can deliver services online over telehealth, then we can see one client, maybe have an hour in between to write up any notes or reports, and then to another. So we're going to access more individuals. So our current knowledge, myself and another colleague and Dr Dounavi conducted a systematic literature review to investigate telehealth as a method for delivering behaviour analytic interventions. Results from our review indicated that to date there are actually only 28 studies that focus solely on a telehealth platform. So what we did find was that a lot of researchers were combining the use of face-to-face and telehealth. So maybe they would have an initial face-to-face consultation and then do everything via telehealth. Whereas we wanted to look at just telehealth, everything being conducted online. So results did suggest that telehealth could be an effective and flexible platform to deliver these services. However, currently there were no studies utilising telehealth to teach functional living skills to individuals with ASD. What we found from the review was that a lot of the literature were teaching communication skills, naturalistic environment. There was lots of functional analysis and functional communication training, but no functional living skills. So the current research questions is what is the effect of training interventionists via telehealth on the acquisition of functional living skills by individuals with ASD? Can interventionists implement a functional living skill intervention with high fidelity via telehealth? That's the most important part, right? And can newly acquired skills be maintained for both interventionists and children? So my participants we had 4 females, and 3 of them were classroom teachers, and they were based in the United Emirates, ages 24, 25, and 27. And I had 1 speech and language pathologist based in Serbia. And currently Serbia have no BCBAs. So this was really hoping to make a huge impact for them. The children included 2 girls, aged 4 and 5, and 2 boys, both ages 5, and all had a confirmed diagnosis of ASD. And we utilised a multiple probe design across participants. And the reason we decided to go for multiple probe was really because we didn't want to keep the 4th participant on baseline for so long by the time we had to wait for the changes of the next few participants. So the settings, the participants in the United Emirates, they were based in a school. So all sessions were conducted in the classroom. And the speech and language pathologist had her own clinic, so we worked in the clinic. Everyone was to have access to high-speed internet, a laptop and computer. If they didn't have a webcam or any kind of connection that way, we sent them a HD Logitech webcam, and they also had Bluetooth headphones. And the reason they were Bluetooth headphones was because we didn't want the child to get distracted by my voice over video conferencing software, so we didn't want them to hear us, just the interventionist. Also, I just want to say that my interventionist, one of the inclusion criteria to be part of the study was that they had no prior training, any formal training in behaviour analysis. So dependent variables for the children, we taught getting dressed, washing hands and making a snack, and these were all scored as percentage of steps performed independently and percentage of steps performed with a prompt. So not only did I want to see were they performing it independently, but could they be successful if a prompt was provided. For interventionists, we had a pre and post test score, so we're on a knowledge test, weekly quiz scores, and a procedural fidelity checklist. So did they provide the SD? Did they follow through with the correct prompting hierarchy? Did they provide reinforcement? So at baseline, my interventionists were instructed, go and teach your child these skills. I want to see how you will teach them, and no feedback was provided. They then took part in a 45-questioned pre-test, and this was just on the knowledge of the principles of behaviour analysis. This was multiple choice, so they had a possible of four answers to choose from. So there was the probability that even if they did not know the answer, they maybe would have at least got it right because they had the options of guessing. We then had 4.5 weeks of didactic training. So my participants were sent PDF documents of the principles of behaviour analysis, and we went through 2 a week. So they were sent a document, they would then go through it themselves, and they'd meet with me over video conferencing software, would go through all the examples, they would ask me questions, and we would role play some of the procedures. There was 9 documents in total. Some of the topics included an introduction to behaviour analysis, reinforcement, extinction, we had types of prompting techniques that we use, and generalization. Once didactic training was finished, we had a post-test. So actually, let me just say, after each didactic training was complete, excuse me, participants took part in a weekly quiz, and they had to get to a predetermined criteria before we moved on to the next training document. I think it was 80% they had to reach. And if they didn't make that, then we went back and had another video conferencing session just to go over anything maybe they misunderstood. And then they took the same post-tests again. Then we went on to live coaching, so we were connected up with them working with the child. And this was great because it meant then I was able to give them in the moment feedback, and maybe they needed to move position just to help the child access the learning opportunities more easier. They were then sent a social validity questionnaire, and then we conducted follow-up probes. So this is just a quick example of what one of the training documents looked like. So this one was on task analysis and chaining. So they were given a quick recap on what they learnt the week before. This week it was extinction. then a written description, and we have an example of what a task analysis looks like, how it's scored. They had the opportunity to design their own task analysis. Then we have some behaviour terminology, ASD, consequence. And then they could click on the video link that would take them to a link to watch the skill, the procedure being performed. So for anyone that can't hear, that was the SD, wash your hands, and we're utilising a total task chaining procedure here. Reinforcement. So then, once they got to see what it was like, I would then say, okay, click on the link and I want you to tell me which procedure is being used. So then they had to guess whether it was forward, backward, or total task. And then this just took them to the weekly quiz. We used SurveyMonkey. It was just every week, every session was 10 questions. So after each training document, they were then told, right, go and do what you learned, what you've just learned with me with your child, take a video and send it. Because I wanted to look at, was the training on its own enough to change any behaviour? But this is the results of pre- and post-test scores. So the light grey in colour is the pre-test and the black is post-test. So you can already see changes in knowledge of behaviour. This is the dependent variable for the interventionists of making a snack. So how well could they implement the intervention? And I would watch the video and I would just score on my procedural fidelity checklist. Did they present the SD? Did they provide the correct prompt? And many more. So you can see actually that baseline was low. It was 0 actually. Didactic training, it was enough to change the dependent variable. However, it wasn't until we got to the live coaching that they got right up there to the 100%. So this does show us that although the didactic training did change the behaviour, it wasn't enough. So this is for how did the interventionist implement a washing hands intervention. So again, similar, the didactic training did change the behaviour, but we had to wait until we got to the live coaching to get right up to 100%. And this is for getting dressed. What I actually found in the baseline videos, I'm sure many of you have found this in your practice, was that the therapists or the teachers were actually doing it for the child rather than giving them the opportunity to practice the skill themselves. And it wasn't until they started to learn about chaining and prompting that they took the step back, and they were so surprised that I remember them saying to me over Skype, like, oh my goodness, I can't believe how much they were able to do on their own. So. And this is child data, so this one is for making a snack. So the square is percentage of independence, and the triangle is percentage of steps performed with a prompt. So participant 1, there's a little bit of variability. What I actually found was once the interventionists learnt about prompting, sometimes we had a bit of over-prompting. So we knew that the child could be successful, however, the participant was maybe going in too soon with a prompt, so future research can maybe look at like inserting your time delay and trying to wait for them to be independent. So you can see with all 3 participants here that every single one of them were at 0 at baseline, so there has been improvements. This is for getting dressed. Again, participant 1 was a little bit variable, but still big improvements. And this is for hand washing. I'm still in the middle of conducting follow-up data, so hopefully that will be available soon. So I have 1 remaining participant to complete follow-up data. A colleague of mine has very kindly offered to do IOA through all the many of videos that I have. But overall, the research has shown favourable outcomes of the use of telehealth technologies to train interventionists to implement behaviour analytic interventions to children with ASD, showing increases in interventionist and child outcomes. So I do have a video. I'm going to go through to my bibliography just because I don't want the video to be filmed, so I'm going to show you. So here is a list of references. The bottom one is our systematic review, if anyone is interested to see what has been done so far with telehealth. Thank you.